that was Portsmouth. Now we've come 30 minutes down the road to Southampton, the home of the Titanic. Let's go and have a look around.
Since we sailed from Plymouth Sound 4 years gone or nigh, Jack, was there ever chummies now, such as you and I, Jack? Long we've tossed on the rolling main, now we're safe ashore, Jack. Don't forget your old shipmate, folly, rolly, 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 ride-o.
Southampton has a long and varied history. In the 17th century, the Romans built on the site of the Bittern. In 407, the Roman army leaves Britain and the Roman towns are abandoned. In 950, the town declines, the Itchen silts up and is abandoned. A small town of Bargate is built. In 1066, after the Norman conquest, the Normans build a castle. In 1260 to 1300, stone walls are built around the town. 1338, the French attack Southampton. 1563, the plague reaches Southampton. 1618, the king sells the castle, which is now in ruins. In 1770, Southampton grows north of Bargate. 1882, paddle steamers begin running to France. In 1879, horse-drawn carriages begin running. 1919, the Cunard makes Southampton the terminus of their Atlantic service. And in 1988, Southampton becomes a city. With a history as old as this, it's only obvious that the town will be home to some very interesting buildings. It was built as a town gateway with Guildhall at first floor level. Further alterations were made to the building around 1290 when large drum towers were added to the north side with arrow slit windows. A two-storey extension was made to the south side towards the end of the 13th century with 4 windows lighting the upstairs room. In the middle of the 4 windows is a statue of George III in Roman dress. The embattled north front was added to the building around 1400. The bar gate was separated from the adjoining town walls in the 1930s. This is one of the finest town gateways in England and is scheduled as an ancient monument. The Tudor House is a late medieval townhouse built in its present form mainly by Sir John Daughtry at some time between 1491 and 1518, but incorporating a banqueting hall built 100 years earlier. It is now open to the public as the Tudor House Museum. Southampton has so many historic buildings, it's impossible to talk about all of them. However, my favourite building is definitely the Dolphin Hotel, which I was lucky enough to stay in for 2 nights. It was first mentioned in documentation in 1454, but it was in existence well before this date. It was a popular resting place for seamen and merchants who had anchored their ships in the harbour. During the Elizabethan period, the courtyard was the hub of Southampton's entertainment, rented out to minstrels and other entertainers, according to the town records. Since the 17th century, it has been a popular coaching inn, but became most popular during the Spa years of 1750 to 1820, and it was considered a fashionable social centre. Collier's machines ran between London and Southampton, leaving the Dolphin at 5:45 a.m. It cost 16 shillings for an inside seat and 10 shillings for an outside one. In the late 18th century, the Dolphin was rebuilt with the wonderful Georgian front we see today. The windows are believed to be the biggest bay windows in England. Famous guests included Queen Victoria and Lord Nelson, and it was the venue for Jane Austen's 18th birthday party. No visit to Southampton would be complete without a trip to the docks. The first dock was built in 1843. Since then, the passengers and cargo passing through Southampton's docks have brought prosperity to the town. It became the gateway to the world and handled nearly half of the UK's ocean-going passenger traffic and millions of tonnes of cargo. During the next 70 years, the town's docks grew rapidly to cover a large area now known as the Eastern Docks. The Eastern Docks cover over 60 acres and provide nearly 3 miles of quayside. Most of Southampton's traffic passed through the Eastern Docks until 1934, when the Western Docks opened. Within the Western Docks is the King George V dry dock, one of the largest dry docks in the world. After all this sightseeing, we needed somewhere to grab a cup of coffee. We found this fantastic little hippie cafe on the high street. Take a look around this. It's really unusual with random things laying around. This is random. We're in a cafe, an art cafe. It's empty. They've got like a box of sanitary pads in there. It's quite weird. Nice cakes. It's called the Art Cafe and it's in Southampton. Just opposite the Dolphin Hotel, we saw a rather nice looking Chinese restaurant, so we popped in on the second night and had our dinner there. Really nice Chinese restaurant right near our hotel. In the high street, just beyond Bargate, we found a rather good waffle shop. They're very cheap, about £5 each, but they're huge. If you don't have a very big appetite, you could easily share one between two. I'm going to leave this video here. There's so much I haven't spoken about. I saw much more than I've shown you. However, I will do one more part, and that's about the Titanic Museum, because I think it's really worth showing you. Thank you for watching.